Imagine waking up tomorrow morning and discovering that one narrow strip of water, smaller than many people imagine, has suddenly brought the entire world economy to its knees. Oil prices are exploding, stock markets are crashing, giant cargo ships are standing still in the sea, and world leaders are holding emergency meetings through the night. That place is the Strait of Hormuz, one of the most important and dangerous waterways on Earth. Located between Iran on one side and Oman and the UAE on the other, this narrow passage connects the Persian Gulf to the Arabian Sea, and every single day, massive oil tankers carrying nearly a quarter of the world's oil supply pass through it. At its narrowest point, the actual shipping lane is only a few kilometers wide, yet the economies of countries thousands of miles away depend on those waters remaining open. India, China, Japan, Europe all rely heavily on energy flowing through this tiny maritime corridor. That's why experts often call it the world's most critical oil choke point. But the Strait of Hormuz is not just about trade and oil, it is also one of the biggest geopolitical pressure points in human history. For decades, tensions between Iran, the United States, Israel, and Gulf nations have turned these waters into a high-stakes chessboard filled with warships, submarines, drones, missiles, and surveillance aircraft. Iran holds a powerful strategic advantage because it controls much of the northern coastline and several nearby islands overlooking the shipping lanes. In times of crisis, Iranian leaders have repeatedly warned that they could block or disrupt the strait, and even the possibility of that happening is enough to shake global markets within hours. The world has seen dangerous moments here before. During the Iran-Iraq War in the 1980s, the region witnessed what became known as the Tanker War, where oil tankers were attacked and commercial ships sailed under constant fear of missile strikes and naval mines. The United States eventually stepped in to escort ships through the Gulf, showing just how vital the route was to the global economy. Since then, tensions have never truly disappeared. In recent years, mysterious explosions on tankers, drone attacks, ship seizures, and military standoffs have repeatedly pushed the region to the edge. And now, in 2026, the Strait of Hormuz has once again become the center of a global crisis. Reports of naval confrontations, drone attacks, and threats to commercial shipping have caused traffic through the strait to drop sharply, sending shockwaves across the world. Oil prices surged as fears spread that the world's energy lifeline could be severed. Insurance costs for ships skyrocketed, countries rushed to secure emergency energy supplies, and military fleets from powerful nations increased their presence in the area. But here's what makes the Strait of Hormuz truly fascinating. Despite all the threats and conflicts, it has never been completely shut down for a long period in modern history. Why? Because the consequences would be catastrophic, not only for the world, but even for countries in the region themselves. Closing the strait could trigger a global recession, massive inflation, shortages of fuel and goods, and instability across international markets. This is why every statement from Tehran, Washington, Riyadh, or Tel Aviv about Hormuz is watched carefully by governments, traders, and military analysts around the globe. Some Gulf countries have tried building pipelines that bypass the strait, like the UAE's Fujairah pipeline and Saudi Arabia's East-West oil pipeline, but none of them can fully replace the enormous volume of oil and gas moving through Hormuz every single day. And that means the world remains deeply dependent on this narrow corridor of water. What's even more incredible is that most people on Earth will never see the Strait of Hormuz in person, yet their daily lives are directly connected to it. The price of petrol at your local station, the cost of flights, food delivery, electricity, and even grocery prices can all be influenced by what happens in these waters. A conflict there can affect billions of people within days. In many ways, the Strait of Hormuz is proof that geography still controls global power in the modern world. One narrow strip of sea, surrounded by desert mountains and military bases, quietly influences the fate of economies, governments, and ordinary people across the planet. And as tensions continue rising in the Middle East, the world keeps watching the Strait of Hormuz because everyone knows that if this tiny waterway stops flowing, the shockwaves could reach every corner of Earth.